hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So, bugs. So we've got lots of open issues,
Yep.
and my suggestion was that I would sort of go through and sort of tag them, with a set of prioritizers, like maybe like 1, 2, 3, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we just whack at them.
How would you like to whack out them? Would you, because if we're going to do these as hot fixes or fix at source, it's important we do it in a way which is repeatable from the source file.
Yeah, I think that we have time to fix things at source.
Okay.
There are some issues, which maybe are like super urgent, but because we can't push out the updates, then we can fix things properly.
Okay, cool. So, okay, I've got it open and I can do a sort. Yeah, so I'm looking at the issues here, and it's probably better if we divide it by family as well.
Okay, so if you go to issues labels,
yep,
and then sort by most issues.
Sort most issues. Boom. Open sans.
Yeah, and then obviously if you click that tag, it will just show you those labels, those issues labeled open sans.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's still not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. So Oswald, I think that's up soon, isn't it? Someone's going to be looking at that.
Yeah. All of these issues didn't affect giving them the source, though, from what I could see. It was all design-related stuff.
So,
and the version number was fixed.
Yeah, so the Oswald stuff, you worked on that on Friday, right?
Yep.
And then Clappy's going to work on that in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
So the version number thing, you say that's fixed?
It is, because let's just check it out. Non-conformant version number. Yeah, the light version number is wrong, but since we collated all of them together in one .glyphs file, they all now inherit the same version number.
So that's on your GitHub, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, should be version 2. I think I've just brought every one of those up to version.
Yep.
When we're doing the updates, I just rounded all the version numbers up one. This is much easier.
Yep. Okay. All
right.
So that issue, I can say that that's now fixed, and so it's now sort of pending an update.
Yeah, it's having an update. Since Oswald had so many versions which are not pre-released, but actually now on version 4. So we can say that the versions are now consistent, we're working on it, and the version numbers will be family-wide all the same.
Yep. Okay. Right, so
but also with an issue like this, what if it was intentional to have one weight behind the others? Like, say if the others got an update and that one didn't.
Well, the family is a unit, so I think that even though you could keep the families, different, I think that it would be good to have them all updated together. And so
yeah, that's how I do it.
Even if from one version to the next, some styles have no actual changes,
update everything.
It would still be changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's how I do it, but I'm just wondering because in a lot of places that's not how they do it.
No, I think that it adds complexity.
It does.
The downside, the only downside, is that some users might get a cache. Actually, no, it's not even true. The way that Google Fonts works is family based. So when we push a new update, then it becomes all the styles get updated. So even if one style is byte for byte the same from version to version,
yeah,
the SURL still changes.
Okay, cool.
And so the cache is going to be invalidated anyway.
Okay. So open Oswald. Sorry, I'm just going through this list. And do you think we're tackling this the right way, where we've sorted by the ones that are the most open and we're going through the families?
Well, what we need to do is, yeah, I think, you know, that's one way of measuring severity. But it pretty quickly gets down to like 2 issues, and then 1 issue is maybe 2/3 of it. So I think probably what we can do is close out some of these duplicate issues. So like the version number, I'm happy to like fixed in your fork.
Yep. I did originally go through, just got to see this, because I did actually look at one of the days before I started mastering the files. A whole look into all the issues to see if they're ones which are consecutive repository wide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think I've come up with I've got to find this list, but I've got it somewhere. I basically came up with a list of ones which could be potentially all fixed if we did a family-wide update.
Mm-hmm.
Not family-wide update, but say if we get all the repositories into glyphs in a near automated way, it will be taken care of in that process.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'll find it another time.
Okay. Yeah. So what about issue 146 for Oswald?
Aha, here we go. I'm gonna drop, I can link this to the repository that I've made because I didn't touch this one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one of those issues of what looks like design when I was going through it.
Okay. Maybe okay, so
but this is still a maybe. This is not even a guarantee. This is like I'm looking at what she's saying. Let me just open up Oswald with these marks, because I think I've looked at this as well, and it was another one of those things where it's because the marks I think might actually look a bit like universe in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for Unicode 201A, punctuation. Okay, should I screen share with you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For me, this is a non-issue as well. This is just, this is one of those things of design, like, let's do it, start screen share. Okay, so this is 201A, so the comma.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, nothing wrong with that type of comma.
Right, but in her screenshot, it's different, isn't it?
See? Okay, yeah, that is totally different. Okay, but this has been this has probably been fixed by going to version 4 that we're working on now, because this is one of the older ones.
Right, right.
That so we've covered this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely just going to go through this list sorting by priority, and if I come across something like this, I'll take a screenshot and close the issue, I think, saying that it will come.
So yeah, I'd hold off on closing issues until things are totally done.
Okay. Okay, then I won't close the issues, but I'll say that it's coming in an update and it's fixed, and maybe provide a screenshot. I think that's
Yeah.
a good one. Oswald with latest TTF auto hint. That should roll around as well upon release. Okay. Josephine Sands. Pop-ins. Vertical alignment. Okay, excellent. These are ones which are coming in. Okay, it's an ITF one. Interesting. I might try and tackle the vertical. This is the thing. Even though we've had our discussion about vertical metrics, and we've ended up with colored scheme and color piece scheme, and my tester for it.
Mm-hmm.
It will be interesting to run a test on all the fonts in the repository to see which ones are passing and which ones are failing based on colored scheme.
Yeah.
It's simple enough to do. I'd like to have a crack at something like that, so that at least at the end of the day, we can say, look, we've touched everything in some sense, and now that there should be no clipping with any of these. That's possible, and that's possible to do as a hotfix with recursion, where we just systematically go through the folders using font tools, making sure it passes. If it doesn't pass, then we fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That could be quite nice. So, I mean, I might lump all the vertical metrics into one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's a case of you can fix things individually, but you can also lump different issues into groups of things, and then we could maybe hotfix it with font tools.
Yeah.
If it's a consistent problem, because vertical metrics does seem to be a consistent problem, because it's very hard to set them correctly in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we could roll out as a consistent fix across all the families, or we could consistently break it all again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no chance to do sort of collection-wide effects. That's
Okay.
Like the way that the want to get pushed is, family by family individually, and typically we're limited to maybe a dozen a week after a type I. For them, it's going to be very, very small.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that probably we should sort of I think that taking a more structured approach to this, I should deduplicate these issues so that there's one issue per family, and then classify them in some way. From like if, for example, can be done by you and me and Larsa, or needs a designer. So what else? What other kinds of categories do you anticipate that we could use?
There's going to be it falls into a few categories. So you're probably going to have rendering with things like TTF auto hint causing problems.
Yeah.
Font metadata, which includes things like vertical metrics and tables wide settings.
Yeah.
So you got design, which I'm going to cover as having even kerning and metrics and all that stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
If it's a design issue, I might make up a list of the ones that there are design issues and just get a designer to check. Mm-hmm. I can actually do this as well. I mean, I'm pretty good, and I can see if there is a problem with a general design, and I can say, yeah, it's a design issue or not. Because a lot of the design issues are debatable as well. It's one of those.
Yeah.
As long as you can provide a valid reason and maybe some evidence that it's okay, then.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's good. So we can say design issue, metadata issue, or rendering issue. And metadata, maybe we can fix.
Yeah.
The things that are rendering issues, they probably need a rebuild.
Yep.
And potentially a designer, and then some things maybe totally designer. I mean, something like that quote, I feel like that's something which you and Lancer could fix. It's not like a super design issue. If it's a problem like, the S needs to be redrawn, then that's maybe something we get one of the others to do.
How many is it? It's like we got 180 or something.
There's about 90 issues that are bugs, I think. 90 families.
I'm really liking this view of the label with the most issues and go through. I'm very scared of actually duplicating these issues off. I'd prefer to just systematically go from top to bottom with this.
Well, it's I don't mean duplicate. I mean deduplicate.
Okay.
So if you click through to milestone 4, the bugs in fonts milestone.
Bugs in font files?
Yeah.
Okay, 97 open, 1 closed. Okay.
And so you can see that GitHub makes this an ordered list, and when you mouse over, there's a little hamburger menu icon on the left to move the issues up and down.
Okay, yeah.
And so what I'm going to do is, tag these by those, tag things by sort of level of intervention, method of rendering designer.
Yep.
And deduplicate them so that there's only 1 issue per family.
Okay.
And then sort them into an order, that I think, from sort of high payoff, high return.
Yeah.
Like there are some problems where there's real, hard issues, like Roto can't be installed locally. That's a major problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we end up with just one definitive list somewhere, which is maybe in an order of sequence, we can then crack through.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, it would be really like what you just shown me there. If we get some sequence built into something like that, I'm more than happy to just go through it along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So just one definitive source of things makes people happy.
Okay, so in terms of sort of the checklist thing, you had a script to sort of run through things.
I have a few now. I've got one to check the checklist that you've done.
Right.
I have another to check the vertical metrics following Callipy scheme or colored scheme. And then one to fix global changes or things which should always be consistent, such as the just things like the license and the license URL, things which are constant in your spec get switched on.
Yeah.
It's not 100% automatic, but it makes a hell of a lot of difference. So like, I mean, preparing a family has gone from a whole day task to like basically half a day now. It's nice.
Okay, so that being the case, so this is in your glyph scripts GitHub repo.
Yeah, I've got to do a push this evening. I've actually got I'm going to make a Google folder, I think, for this stuff. It's getting to the point now where.
Well, I mean, from my point of view, we should be checking this into Font Bakery.
Yeah, Font Bakery was a post-production tool when I was looking at the thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, or maybe not Font Bakery, but into Google Fonts repos somewhere.
Tools, glyph scripts, as its own repo.
So we would make like github.com/Google Fonts/GF tools, something like that.
Something like that, but we've already got a tools folder, and I'm thinking of creating a repo in there because you've got a lot of other scripts and tools in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe moving Font Bakery, basically killing Font Bakery as a repo and moving its source code into the main github.com/google/fonts could be good.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant to have a play around with that because there's so many of us linked into it. So I'm gonna study the repository, but I think I can have my own glyph scripts folder, and I can transfer ownership and move them in and just start working from those, because they're not part of what my scripts did originally, and I think they're more suited for this project, so you guys can take ownership of them.
Okay. So the fix GF spec script.
Yeah, that just fixes. This needs better naming. This adds some constants to the file.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to piece out what you think would stay here and what you think would move to the Google Fonts repo.
Fix GF spec will be moved to the Google Fonts repo, but it needs to add a few more bits. This is the one which has a constant from the checklist MD.
Sure.
That will move. Check Callipy metrics will move. That will be renamed to check old metrics. Then Callipy's one will be check new metrics, because it's for new families coming up. Fix GF spec probably needs a rename to something else, but that's the one which checks your checklist.md document.
So there's a test and a fix.
Yes. The fix one needs a rename. That should be just add constants or something like that, because it doesn't actually fix it completely. It just adds a few bits.
Okay. Okay.
Let me do a renaming of these, push them to my repository, and then I'll tell you which ones we should move into their own glyphs folder on the.
Yeah.
They're not ready yet. Like I'm very scared to push things to that Google Fonts repository if they're half done. Like, we just needed this to get a job done.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. No problem. No pressure. No pressure. Okay. So, so how do you see the next 4 days working out?
The next 4 days, hopefully, we're going to have this list of issues. I'm going to take a preliminary pre-scan check through and just see which ones will benefit from having a family-wide, not a hotfix, but which ones would benefit from remaking the sources. Which ones would benefit from just having a quick hotfix on top, like maybe just a font tools run through to change the metadata. It's really until I see the list, and then we see how we can go through it. It's not actually, some of them, like, I'm just going through it now, just looking at it. And some of them are, if we try and tackle them in a week, we might have a problem, like when we see Allegreia kerning missing in generated TTF. That requires quite a bit of investigation, and then actually let's just click on it and see.
Well, in that case, in that specific case, that's one of the fonts that I'm looking to get expanded. So
okay,
we just not deal with that because it's going to get Carol later on this year.
Yes,
this is kind of a thing that basically I just need to spend a bit more time, sort of triaging this list for you.
Yes, please. What I can do is I can
three groups, right? The stuff that we can hotfix, the stuff that we can fix by rebuilding.
Yep.
And then the stuff which we need to get a designer. So this Allegreia case is an example of that third category where we want the designer to look at it.
Yeah, but you say Allegreia is being updated maybe as a raisin later on?
No, so we have another budget where to get the original designers involved.
Okay.
It's a bit of confusion, to be honest, where I thought that the team that was working, would only be doing the 2 to 3 day projects. Or even, potentially I was willing to have them work on things even less time than that.
Yeah.
But we settled on sort of 2 to 3 days being the minimum that made sense. So my original idea was that the actual raisins would be done by their original designers.
Okay.
But the team wasn't very keen on that. So, and indeed, there are plenty of fonts where the original designer isn't available for some reason.
Yes.
So that's kind of what we're working on. And then I'm looking at engaging some of the original designers on their projects.
Okay.
As well. Yeah. So Allegreia is definitely high on the list, where the original designer, is available. He's done some work on the project already, for example, extending it to Greek, and so sort of, I'm negotiating with him to get that existing work liberated, plus commission some additional work.
Okay, cool. So we have in this list here 97, and I take it you'll be adding more to them from the other issues area.
What do you mean?
Bugs in font files. Okay, so these are actually, because we have bugs in font files, which has 97 open issues, and then in the actual issues we have 177. Did you distinguish these ones as being bugs in font files separately from the others? So you've already made this.
Yeah, if you go up to the top, there's the filters input box. Then to the right, there's labels and milestones. And if you click on milestones, then you get the list of milestones.
Okay.
So you can see there that like all the questions to date have been answered. And then there's 27 family updates, which have been.
Okay.
And then there's 31 new families, which have been requested.
Yep.
And then there's the bugs thing that we've looked at, and there's development requests, which is a bit different, and that's where it's a request to like commission like a new round of work, basically.
Yes. Okay. Wow, this is quite a bit of organizing you've done here. This is impressive. No, this is top form, top form. Wow. So there's 176 in these different categories you got. Nice. Very nice. Okay, so bugs and font files is really what you're after from me here.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool.
We need to prioritize that list, and to do that, I think I'll go through and categorize like into three sets.
Yep.
I'll order them in the list,
and
then it's super clear like what to do.
That would be excellent.
And then that will be ready for you to start tomorrow. And then I guess we'll just see how you get through, and maybe we'll catch up again on Wednesday around the same kind of time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So yeah, so I'll put something on calendar to catch up on Wednesday around this time. And I'll get that triage done today, so it's ready to start work tomorrow.
Fantastic, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, hang on. There's one other thing. So let me stop the recording.